Anyway.
Don't wear a kilt.
I wasn't planning on it.
Let's get into the show.
Don't start. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank God none of y'all are kilt guys.
Oh God, I worked with a kilt guy, and it's like, what's my heritage? I'm like, you look like a fucking doofus.
I wear kilt. I do wear kilts to the Ren Fest, but that's.
I mean,
that's I'm keeping it 100.
That's fine.
I do not give a fuck. It is very comfortable. Welcome to Movie the Podcast. That's right, Movie the Podcast. It is still WW Easter. We're still in it to win it. This week we got to see something.
This movie had three WWE legends in it.
Plus several independent wrestlers.
And Lance Henriksen and a guy from Kids in the Hall.
Lance Henriksen, I don't know if you guys saw this in IMDb. Cast
I saw this.
God.
Yeah, God was credited as Lance Henriksen.
That's awesome.
So there's a lot of. So I went on driving. So we watched Monster Brawl, and on the way home today, I went on not an unhinged rant, but I was trying to get my thoughts together for the show, and I recorded it on my phone. It sounds like trash.
Wow, you do pre-recordings?
In this case, I just want to get my
pre-tapes.
I just want to get my thoughts together. So I love that. I can either play it. And Alex had enough.
We lost
I don't blame him.
We can either play that, or I can try and recreate it, but I would respectfully ask to not be interrupted of my stream of consciousness rant about Monster Brawl. That'll take all of 3 minutes.
I don't know if I can do that, but I'll try.
Well, then I'll just hit play, so that's fine.
I'll interrupt the tape too. Yeah, I'll try not to. Should we text Alec what happened?
Maybe he's done. Maybe this was it.
Where's my phone?
This was it.
Anyway.
This is it. Yes.
No mistake.
Wait, that's not what I was saying, but that's fine.
What song were you singing?
I don't know the words. You know that one?
No.
Big in the 80s around the like at the community pool. I'll find it.
At the community pool.
Yep. Keep it at 100 at the community pool.
All right, so yeah, Monster Brawl starring. Oh, there's Alec. We thought we lost you.
Starring one of the biggest Persians from fucking 300.
I could not think of his fucking name. He was like the Kurgan, right?
Yeah.
Robert Valiant, I think.
Yeah, that's his real name. That's
his shoot name.
He was in the Sherlock Holmes movie too.
He was in Mandy. He was Apex or Ajax.
That's right. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
He a big boy.
Yeah, he's a weird looking guy too. So he kind of works for that.
I would have assumed he was some kind of weird white, but I think he's just regular white.
I thought it was French.
Yeah, which is in itself a weird white.
He's like an Andre the Giant situation.
Yeah. I think
Pass on France.
Was Andre the Giant French? I thought he was from the same place as Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He's not
Belgium?
Yeah. I thought he was French. Is he Belgian?
Do they speak French in Belgium?
They do.
Anyway.
I think they speak French and German. They've been conquered a lot.
Let's move on. So what y'all watch this week? And I'm gonna pass the mic to Sean.
Oh my God, I watched one thing.
Hello.
That's a lot for you.
Yeah, right. I watched a documentary on HBO called Jane's.
Mm-hmm.
It is about.
It's about Thomas Jane.
It is about Thomas Jane and Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's.
Based.
Yeah.
Big and Jane Krasinski. No, what's her?
Is that her name?
No, it's not. Yep, what is her name?
Jane Krasinski's from Malcolm in the Middle.
Who am I thinking of 30 Rock, Alec?
That's Jane Krakowski?
Oh,
there
damn.
Maybe.
So whichever one of y'all just bought my shirt, I'm up to $4 now on the margins. So look at that.
I
bought mine earlier.
Hell yeah, you guys are
Shout out Jane Curtin. All right, keep going, man.
Oh, Jane Curtin could get it. It was about the gals doing abortions in the 60s. And it's an interesting story, and it's cool because it frames it as being kind of revolutionary, but it kind of this is gonna sound bad, but TJ will know what I'm talking about. It kind of just devolves into flowers for white feminism. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They're all. Does that make any sense?
It does to me, but you're right. It's I know what you mean, but it's hard to articulate what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
It's one of those things where it's it is a it's a human issue, but it's a women's issue, but it it's framed by like kind of like almost like these white savior women for a problem that predominantly affected, poor women and women of color or both. Mm-hmm. And they kind of briefly touch on it and then don't come back to it.
Yeah.
So they sort of, they whitewash the issue basically.
Yeah. And it's like, all the women that could afford to go to another place and get an abortion did. And then,
and that was movie, that.
Yeah, the movie kind of
that's
like,
the end of that chapter.
It kind of like needs a conflict, and then there's a point where they talk about how, that, obviously like nobody was really looking for them too hard because they were able to kind of just like very sloppily do their business for a long time without anybody interfering because, the assumption was that, the cops and the mayors and stuff, their wives were going to it. The most interesting part, weirdly, is that there was a guy performing the procedures that was like an ex-mob guy that was not a doctor.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's just this like regular doofus. Like it was.
How did he learn how to do that? Like,
I guess the mob provided
like mob
abortions,
education,
and he was just kind of like the driver.
Oh my God.
The mob doctor, and then he kind of learned how to do it, and that was kind of fucking weird.
That's insane.
But I don't know.
That's like that Mo Sizlak. That's right. I'm a surgeon.
Defense. It's kind of fucked up that like things have not really changed much or have regressed.
It's funny you say that because we've talked about it on the show a lot of times. Like when we've watched like politically charged movies from like years and years and years ago, and it's like, oh, this shit's exactly the same. Like I saw a TikTok with Frank Zappa, and he was on some talking head like news show, like McLaughlin Group or something.
Wrong.
And he was talking about how he was talking about how
that is the best Saturday Night Live sketch of all time.
He was talking about Reaganism and Republicans and how right wing politics leads to fascism. Mm-hmm. And it's just like listening to him talk, like it just sounds. It's like spot on with what's going on. It's like so like demoralizing to hear somebody talk about shit fucking 40 years ago, or longer than that probably. Yeah. And it's like, oh, shit hasn't changed at all. In fact, it's probably worse now. It's wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, you should have voted harder.
I know.
Now I can think of it as that McLaughlin Group sketch.
Jackson
teeny tiny tabletop.
But it's like, shit, what was I gonna, fuck.
Sorry.
I kind of lost the thread. No, you're fine. I was thinking of, fuck. What was, voting harder? I don't know. I was gonna make some fucking point or another about fucking lib shit, but, oh yeah. And it was like, I'm watching it with my girlfriend and she's like, said something, and I just kind of made the point, like, damn, dog, if the Democrats only hadn't had control of the government for like 40 years after that to codify it into law, like maybe we wouldn't be in there. But you
gotta keep it. You gotta keep it as an option just to keep people voting. Otherwise, once you remove it from the plate, what are you running on?
Yeah, now you can fundraise for it again.
You can't defend it if it's like enshrined.
Yeah. Right. Well, the funny thing is now it's actually had a negative effect on Republicans. Because like Republicans that identify themselves as normal people, that they hypothetically they were fine with saying I'm against abortion, but now that it's like a real thing, like people are backing away, and they basically have no, like they don't have anything to run, like they can't say, oh, we're gonna take this away because it's gone.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's so mask off now, like in fucking Tennessee where they just expelled those two fucking state legislators. It was like, or were they?
Well, they did the Barney Moe thing and they just walked right back in the back door.
Yeah. I mean, it's fucked up. Anyway, but that's all I watched. TJ.
Oh my God, I'm TJ. I watched two things. Well, I watched three things, but the third thing is The Big Lebowski, a movie you guys are probably familiar with.
Pretty good.
Very good movie. No, I watched two movies. Both were pretty good. I watched a movie called Caveat. It's really well. It got recommended to me because the person reviewing it, like the film he compared it to is Possum, which is a movie Gogs talked about a couple weeks ago. It's a movie I really love. I don't see the comparison. Like besides it being like creepy, it's not. I don't know. Like, I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but like I always do anyway. But
Hell yeah.
like I don't know. I guess like when I try to like compare movies, especially like thematically, like it's more like Possum is a movie that's like about metaphor about abuse and all this stuff. Like it's a lot more than in some of its parts. And this movie is just kind of creepy. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not the same. But Caveat's pretty cool. It's very simple. It's literally like this guy is hired by his uncle, excuse me, this guy is hired by a friend of his whose niece is like mentally unwell, and her dad and her mother, her mother's missing, and her dad just killed himself. And he's like, she won't leave the house, and she's like mentally unstable. So I need you. I'll pay you I'll pay you a pretty good sum of money just to watch her. And then that's it. That's all you got to do. And it's a good horror movie setup. You know, it's weird. You find out that the house is literally on a fucking island. And then like you find out that like he makes him wear this harness when he walks into the house. He says it's because the harness was created because the mother was a sleepwalker. Mm-hmm. And the harness is connected to this chain, and they do a really good job of never showing you exactly how long the chain is. And the movie's shot in a way where you're never really sure how big the house is or how small it is. But anyway, the harness is worn to help the mentally unstable daughter just kind of cope with him better. This movie is full of things that don't quite add up, but like it's more about like a vibe. Like it's funny because overall I really like this movie. There's a lot of like super creepy moments, and like there's a lot of like really good tension, but honestly the story is kind of weak. Like it's like by the time it's over you're like, oh okay. But like the setting and the mood of the whole thing, and it moves at a clip, like it's definitely worth checking out. But he gets in this house, he's got to wear this fucking harness. So like it's a great idea to me where it's like, all right, so you put him on a house on an island, so he's stuck, right? Then you put him in a fucking harness that he can only move to certain parts of the house. So you've put him on a cage inside of a cage. I was like, that already is like a great like jumping off point. But I recommend it. It's an interesting movie. Again, it's not fantastic. I wish that like the actual, like, I think the director wrote it as well. And I feel like he had a lot of strong like concepts in his head. You can see like a lot of the visual stuff. Like he cared more about the visual than kind of the story to get him there, but it's still worth watching. I enjoyed it. It's very tense at times. And I love the shot compositions. Like, I don't know. It's
what's it called? What's it called again?
Caveat. Also a Shudder original.
Oh, shout out Shudder.
But it's like an early Shudder original. Like I think it came out like 2 or 3 years ago. But I recommend it. It's an interesting watch. I watched another movie. I do a little podcast with Chris Big Dick Parks. He asked me to do called the Dead Air Horror Review. It's a little short form thing that he wanted to do. So we watched this movie called Incantation that's on Netflix. It's a Taiwanese found footage horror movie. It's really good, but it has problems because I hate found footage movies, and it does the reason I hate found footage movies is because found footage movies that are bad, in my opinion, can't follow the rules of found footage. And this movie does that. Like the first, I don't know, 45 minutes.
Edits and shit in it?
Oh yeah, and like music, and like the first like half of the movie, they go out of their way to make sure that there's a reason for everybody filming, and you're watching it through their footage. But I swear, like halfway through it, like cuts, and there's like third person shots, and there's like and I'm like, what happened? Like, and the funny thing is that the acting and the direction overall is really good, and like you could have just ditched the whole found footage aesthetic. I will say the movie is very clever, because the found footageness of it does tie into the overall theme, but without spoiling anything, even that is kind of like, it kind of is weakened by the end if you really think about it, because you're like, whoa, wait, like the footage at the end isn't really being broadcast to anybody, so it's like, whoa, what? Like, how did we get this footage? It's the fucking Knock at the Cabin thing, where it's like, well, the tsunami hit. How the hell did you get this tape? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that kind of thing. But overall, really cool.
Again, the cloud.
That fucking cloud. But I love that cloud. It's just like the cloud in what was that Jordan Peele movie?
Nope.
Yeah, the cloud in Nope. But what was I gonna say? Really cool, good gore, like kind of sparing amounts of gore, but the gore that they show is like really good. A really interesting like villain design because it's like an evil Buddha, and just like when they hide its face the whole time, and when you finally take the face off, like the mask off the face, it's fucking disturbing as hell. I don't know. Overall, like really strong movie. It's on Netflix. I recommend it. Again, it's not perfect. It's not without its flaws, but it's definitely worth watching. And it's kind of interesting to me. Like I've never seen a Taiwanese movie until this past, like, I don't know, 7 months, and I've seen 2 because I saw that Incantation movie, and then before that I saw The Sadness, which I didn't really care for, but like it's kind of, I've gone this far in life never seeing any Taiwanese films, and now I'm up to 2. So keep it coming, Taiwan. I didn't care for The Sadness, but it was a big swing and a miss.
Keep it coming while you're still a country.
Yeah. Don't listen to John Cena. But yeah, that's what I watched. So
I don't like what you're doing, but I'm glad you're out there doing it, Taiwan.
I mean, hey, let's again, like if whatever this director that made Incantation makes, I'm in for the next one because I think it's their first film. So it's like there's a lot of, like I said, there's more good than bad.
He's working on currently untitled Chinese propaganda product.
For real?
No. I'm saying once he gets conquered.
But anyway, that's all I watched. Alec.
Nothing.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god.
Based. All right. I watched one thing. I watched Pulling John, the arm wrestling documentary about.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
About John Brzenk. I texted the group. This is the most batshit tail wagging the dog thing of all time. John Brzenk, who, like, the guy who looks like this, like, remember at the end of Over the Top when there's like the one kind of like the scrawny guy who like looked like what's the recent serial killer that got the Netflix special about him? The guy not Gacy, the other one, Dahmer.
Oh.
The guy kind of looked like Dahmer adjacent. That's John.
The movie's recent, not the Jeffrey Dahmer's recent.
What about What about Jeffrey Dahmer? And it was that guy from Coach, and he killed people.
Nice.
M-O-O-N. That spells cannibal.
With the fucking John Brzenk was in the Over the Top movie. He won the chance to be in the Over the Top movie because he won the Over the Top tournament in Las Vegas when he was like 18. And then they used that to sort of base the movie on, but the tournament was started by Menachem and them as a cross promotional tie-in.
Hold on. So the guy the movie is based on,
loosely,
was in a tournament that the movie sponsored.
Correct.
How is, like, what?
They put a tournament on in Las Vegas. They put a real tournament on in Las Vegas with a real Volvo semi-truck that this guy, John Brzenk, won, and then he sold it to buy a Corvette. And then he got to show up in the movie, and they, like, used parts of his life in the movie.
That's too funny.
But so it's like, so they basically created, it's vertical integration at its absolute peak. They created their own market for this film.
Reverse vertical integration.
Yeah, I guess it's like subterranean integration. Like, they just buried themselves in debt. But like,
it's one of the weirdest
we're trying to ask like where all the money went in the movie Over the Top. Yeah. Some of it went to fund this fucking tournament.
That's so weird.
So like, John Brzenk was like undefeated for like 25 years. He was like the reigning arm wrestling champion. And then
the ginger kind of dorky guy with the humongous fucking biceps?
Yes, that's John Brzenk.
He's the guy that drank the oil, isn't he?
No. They cut to this guy for
why do you keep confusing that?
And he's got
I just
glasses.
can't think. I can't stop thinking of that guy.
He's got glasses.
The guy who drank the oil looks like Otis.
Oh yeah.
This guy looks like Jeffrey Dahmer. Like he's just like he's like the most normal looking guy of like that Rogues Gallery, and he is the most professional arm wrestler of all of them. Like, and so he was like this dude who was like, I'm gonna get good at arm wrestling, and he did. And then he's like, I'm gonna go work for Trans America Airlines or whatever as an airplane mechanic, so we can get free flights to arm wrestling tournaments. So that's what he does and did, and he's just yanking dudes all over the world. And then the movie follows this guy who looks like if Paul Wall was on HGH. Like he's just like this guy that's all like jacked up from fucking West Virginia. And so he's like the guy who wants to unseat John Brzezinski. And then there's this, this giant fucking Russian dude.
Of course.
Who because apparently Russia fucking got super wet for fucking arm wrestling, and it became like a state sponsored sport. Like the state, like the Russian government was like, fuck yes, arm wrestling, and sank all this money into it. But apparently most of Europe, especially Eastern Europe and all over Asia, it's giant in Japan.
Arm wrestling is giant in Japan.
They have he went to a tournament there. He knew the dudes that were facing off against him. It's big.
That's wild.
Or at least it was when this movie, I think, is from 2008 or something. And
really? It's that recent, huh?
But this is about John Brzezinski in his this is him sunsetting. This is him as a 40-year-old man. And him being the undefeated reigning king of arm wrestling since when Overtop come out, 86?
Yeah.
Whenever it came out. The movie is fucking weird.
But that is weird.
These guys are this fucking Russian dude. He's training, and he gets beat. I watch him get beat by somebody, but he's got in his gym, he's got an arm wrestling stand, and he's arm wrestling against another fellow, but then he's got two other dudes with leather straps, like the shit you would lift a refrigerator with, wrapped around his wrist, and then just put their feet against the stand, pulling as hard as they can against just his arm. He is the might of three men.
That's ridiculous.
He's got a fucking kettlebell hanging from the ceiling that he just grips the ball of it and does one arm pull-ups. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? But
are both of his arms that huge? Or is it
he's not like the guy from fucking Lady in the Water. He is fucking, he is symmetrical. He's just jacked as fuck. He took there's a leg press machine, and he's sitting there on his ass with 6 plates on either side, sitting there with his hands on the leg part of the leg press machine, just shoving it forward.
What is that, 600 pounds?
It's an insane amount of weight. Now, it's not all of the weight because it's at an angle and I'm not going to get into the physics of it, but it's a lot of fucking weight. The guy, and he's exercising. He's the most fascinating part of this whole documentary because he's exercising in what looks like every late Soviet bloc setting from any Call of Duty game. It's just decrepit and
that Ferris wheel.
Shit's wet and dripping and rusting, and all the fitness posters on the wall are faded and scratched and destroyed, and but they're just in there just moving weight around in his basement.
There, baby. God, that cat's gonna be long dead.
Yeah, that thing is so I liked it better than Over the Top. It is fucking.
Where was this on?
It's on. What was this on? It's either on Tubi or the Roku channel. I think it's on Tubi. I've been deep into Tubi lately. Tubi's got some weird.
Tubi rock.
Shout out to Tubi. But yeah, Pulling John. Quite a film.
Getting briefly into the movie that we watched for the show. Tubi has ads, but the way the movie we watched worked, the ads worked for the movie, which is really weird.
It also seems like they have somebody that cuts the ads into an appropriate space. It's not, was it Crackle where it would just be in mid dialogue, they would just shit can it.
And they picked in lulls in speech. They're got an ad coming in 5 minutes.
If I remember, because I did we do Miss 45 on the show, or I just watched it?
No, you and I have watched it.
Well, I watched it on Crackle, and I remember that I had to pee or something, and I paused it during an ad, and I broke the app because it couldn't rewind the ad, but it wouldn't let me go past it, and I had to reset the whole fucking app. It was horrible. And Crackle, you couldn't fast forward to where you were. Oh, it was a mess. Anyway, so
Monster Brawl,
right? Monster Brawl.
Do you want me to try and play this thing that I recorded, and then?
No, you can say it. Yeah, because it's going to sound like shit if you.
Can you just attach it to the show?
I'll send it to TJ, and then he can do what he pleases.
Isn't that going to be kind of awkward though? Just say it.
Do it at the end.
Just say it. Just say it.
All right, but I won't capture the magic. Fine, here we go.
Just say it. I'll do both. You can send me the file and we'll play it at the end, and people can.
It'll be like a teaser,
which they like more.
Yeah, it's okay. So anyway, Monster Brawl. So this movie's fucking unhinged. It doesn't make a lick of sense. You've got a guy named fucking like Yukon Jack Cornelius, the Sasquatch Kid, is hanging out in. He's hanging out in what was the movie that we just watched where Clive Barker had all the fucking weirdos living underneath the
Nightbreed.
Yeah, so they're in the Nightbreed cemetery like village, like that's where they're hosting this tournament because it's like time and space displaced. It's somewhere where no one will find it because a college kid was like, wouldn't it be cool if all the monsters fought each other? But we can't have it where they're going to rip off civilians' arms. Like, okay, we'll just go to this fucking necropolis. Neat. Like, get Dave Foley on the horn. So they do that.
Pause you, right?
No, I'm just going to keep going. We'll save it for the end. So then Jimmy, fucking Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart is there and he's being drug in on the same fucking carriage that took not Bob Cratchit, the fucking, regular Marley, Jacob Marley to the afterlife, but he's getting pulled by the Undertaker, not the Undertaker, but a Undertaker. Bob. And then they've got so then they're like, all right, interview this college kid. He's like, oh man, I just want to get the monsters together. So I just sent out telegrams to where monsters exist. So then you meet all the monsters and there's a fucking, a demigod Cyclops who's been a forever fucking blacksmith on like the Isle of Crete. And he's like, I got to go do this now with my insane eye powers. Okay, cool. And then you meet, there's a tournament bracket and there's fucking creatures versus undead. And so on the creature side, you got the Cyclops and then you've got Witch Bitch from Massachusetts and she's managed by Hornswoggle and the town folks have raped her according to Hornswoggle, which is fucking terrifying. So then she gets to go fight the Cyclops. So her and Cyclops, and you're treated these vignettes that the whole movie is shot like you're watching a production of like a fucking fight, but then you get these vignettes narrated by God that don't make. Are you supposed to have seen? Are these part of the production? I don't know.
Have you ever watched? Have you never watched like Showtime or HBO like boxing?
Yeah, they do
run ups.
Kind of
but they didn't do it like that. They just sort of put you there. They didn't interview her in her house like, hey, by the way, we're here.
Real.
And they
I know,
they also
but that's how they treated the rest of the film.
And they didn't throw it to them like they'll do like like wrestling does it too. I mean, they'll do like a lead up to it. But yeah, Gogs is right. They just kind of cut.
You're just suddenly fucking there, right? Really, and you're finding out like but you're not even just there. You're there when they get the invitation to the tournament.
Is your rant still going?
Yes. I'm halfway through the movie.
Which bitch lives in Massachusetts in like the witch time?
And they have boxing.
No. But she lives in like real current times, right? Like she has a boxing match with a guy.
I think they have anachronistic boxing gloves.
So there's a time travel situation going on here?
That or she's like Mormon or something. I don't know. Cause like everybody was dressed in like.
Yeah, they're wearing like
clothing. It doesn't matter. None of this shit makes any sense. But that's a real Canadian wrestler lady under all that gunk. Yeah.
Maybe she lived in like a Williamsburg type place.
Everybody's LARPing like the whole time. So then
that place in Choke. I remember the movie.
Oh god.
Well, she comes up with the name Witch Bitch because it's fucking creative, and so now she gets to go fight Cyclops, and she does, and then Cyclops gets
middleweights.
So because they're middleweights, but it doesn't matter because they're not going to advance in the tournament for some stupid fucking reason. They just get to go to the AFC Championship game after this.
Heavyweights is where the money is.
Right. But fun fact about Pulling John. There's 3 weight classes in fucking arm wrestling, and once you win your weight class, you all get to fight each other. So the lights, the middles, and the heavies get to go for like best overall. It's like how the heavies don't win. Anyway, so now she fights Cyclops, and Cyclops gets his fucking super meter filled up, and then he eye blasts her like Kano, and then that's that. So then the next fight is fucking it's Bog Hog versus a werewolf.
And Swamp Gut.
Actually, no, I'm wrong. Next fight is Mummy versus Lady Vampire because they can't afford to say Dracula.
Lady Vampire. You talk about Witch Bitch being an uncreative name.
It should be a Lady Vampire. Lady Vampire brought to you by ADR. She didn't say a fucking thing in this movie.
Lady Vampire is the name of the like cheap costume.
Yeah.
Like, there's no cheaper costume than that.
Spirit is all over the Lady Vampire.
Also, like, I don't think Dracula is copyrighted. I think
they got the rights to Frankenstein.
I'm pretty sure at this point he's in public domain.
Yeah. What's Bram Stoker's ass gonna do?
There's a new Dracula. There's like 2 or 3 new Dracula movies coming out. One with Nick Cage that looks so fucking amazing.
Renfield.
It's getting good reviews too. But yeah, I don't think Dracula is copyrighted. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's probably it's probably his public domain by now. But anyway, so Lady Vampire and Mummy.
Maybe this was like came out in like 2014, so maybe then it wasn't.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe recently expired.
Because you got like 99 years or something like that.
Something like that.
It's a long time, yeah.
Nice.
But I don't want to interrupt you again, but before I forget,
I know it's going to happen. Go ahead.
The chyron for the news broadcast about the Mummy is fucking hysterical because it says MILF Mummy I'd like to find when the police are looking for it.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
This movie's a horror comedy. I think we should point that out. So the Mummy escapes from a box, kills a hapless guard, and now he's on the run. I guess someone slipped him his invitation to this place displaced tournament in his box, and then Lady Vampire she's getting like investigated, and then she shows up at the tournament after she rips the dude's neck out. So they fight, and it's trash, and then she rips out Mummy's black heart, and now we're done with the middleweights. That'll be in the sequel. There'll be a sequel, and then we go to the heavyweights. So now, first round of the heavyweight fights, you get to see Werewolf, who is brought to you by Tragic Backstory, fighting against Bog Hog, which is like one of 10 left. It's an endangered species.
Swamp Gut.
And it's got a fucking, whatever. And it's got like
a distinct, not Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
But he has all of Swamp Thing's concerns.
Not Swamp Thing, not the creature from the Black Lagoon. And it's big on environmental issues. And and Werewolf fucking squashes the dick out of him. So there's only 9 of these things left. And the Nature Channel did a special on this jackass. So then you're treated to the final big match, which there's a lead up, are we supposed to be privy to the secret military footage of them creating a zombie man?
It's not clear. It really, that is part of the broadcast. We're like, what, cause
am I supposed to see this?
Yeah,
or they sacrifice a private to get eaten by this? He's not a particularly big fella. Like it seems like they invested.
His name is Zombie Man.
Zombie Man. His name is Zombie Man. And guess what he's fighting against? A zombie man, because that's just another reanimated corpse.
I do like that they lampshaded a bunch.
Yeah, it's just Frankenstein versus Zombie Man. And so Zombie Man's backed by DARPA, and Frankenstein's backed by this psychopathic weird doctor guy. And so they fight, and then Zombie Man gets like his shit blown out, but that creates like a very brief zombie apocalypse because they all rise out of their graves, and then they eat Sasquatch Kid, and they bite Diesel, and then they wander off, never to be seen again.
Just like that time that zombies showed up in WWE. Anybody remember that?
No.
Oh, the ECW zombie?
No, there was over a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. It was
zombies
for some movie.
Zombies attacked the Miz.
Was it Army of the Dead?
It might have been, yeah. Oh God, what a terrible idea that was.
So now we're set up for the heavyweight championship fight. Werewolf with a tragic backstory trying to avenge the death of his beloved, I think, wife who was pregnant with his beloved, I think, kid, and that wife was killed by monsters, so now he is anti-monster. And then this guy is set up against Frankenstein, which they do point out is actually the Frankenstein's monster, and who is a admitted child murderer and sleep person killer. So he's kind of the heel in this match. But after a little bit of back and forth, he literally rips the top of Werewolf's head off of his body.
Yes.
And then when he's going for his victory lap, Diesel, who is now a zombie, shows up, and they pose like the select character screen from Mortal Kombat, and then Dave Foley's like, "See you next time."
And
that's the movie.
I'm glad you brought up Mortal Kombat, because this movie is sprinkled with a literal Mortal Kombat guy that's like excellent.
No, it's God.
It's actually it's a better Mortal Kombat movie than the most recent Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It is. Like Lance Henriksen's like, excellent, well done. And then when he punches, it's like it's like wins by like I-beam destroyer.
Yeah, they had like
they finishers.
They all had literal finishing maneuvers.
And that's Monster Brawl.
Yeah, this was an idea, I guess. Like, let's make a movie that's like a pay-per-view, but then like, I don't know.
How is it that one doofus came up with the idea of Monster Brawl? And presumably this is the first Monster Brawl. How was the Yukon Kid a reigning champion?
I will
I
will argue that it is not the first Monsters Brawl because they have records.
Yeah.
But they fight to the death.
I know that, and the zombie has one loss. So is that supposed to be his
I think
death?
it's when he died.
Right. So we live in a world where monsters exist and are known to the public to the point where they have addresses.
Yeah.
Because they don't all get summoned from a hell dimension. They get summoned from their physical homes.
They have addresses in space and time.
Yeah.
They have yeah.
Also, the promoter of this whole thing is just like a dude, and he's like,
"Wouldn't this be fun?"
Jimmy Hart's like, "How did you come up with this?" And then Jimmy Hart immediately starts yawning and acting like he doesn't pay attention, which I guess is supposed to be funny. I don't know. It was weird.
I don't know who said it that Jimmy Hart hasn't aged a day, but he looks exactly the same. It is uncanny how he looks.
I never realized this until watching this movie. Jimmy Hart looks just like McLovin. If with a wig on, look at his face. He looks exactly like McLovin. It's ridiculous. But yeah, he's just a guy that thought it'd be cool to watch monsters fight, and somehow he's able to pull that together somehow.
And book the necropolis, but also the guy who, so if the college kid who invented it, how is Dave Foley's counterpart, the Sasquatch kid, the former champion of something that just got invented?
Also, he's not a monster either. So, I thought there was going to be a point in the movie where
was
he was going to turn
a Sasquatch?
And he got better?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not Sasquatch lore isn't exactly my fucking
Well, I thought maybe he would turn into a monster or something later on in the movie, but he doesn't.
He's like a Wendigo. He can go back and forth.
Dude. Can they change? Is that in the Wendigo lore? I didn't know that.
Yeah. At least as far as Marvel Comics is concerned.
I didn't even know that one could change back and forth. I thought. I don't know much about the Wendigo. I know he fought Wolverine in his first appearance, and he was in a Hulk comic. That's about all I know. And I think he was in Alpha Flight, right? Or no, that's Sasquatch.
That's Sasquatch.
Wendigo probably popped up in Alpha Flight at some point.
He is Canadian, I think.
They jammed every Native American hero into Alpha Flight at one point or another.
Yeah. Well, Canadians have such good history with their indigenous people, they had to do that.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about fucking, I think I made the joke the other day, not unlike Canadian parochial schools, I have a surprisingly high body count, and that joke didn't go over that well. But I thought it was funny.
I think it's funny. Yeah, I don't know. Alec, what was your favorite fight on this card?
From this movie?
Yes. If you had a tail of the tape, who is the your favorite fight? We just got finished watching WrestleMania.
I guess it would have to be Cyclops versus Witch Bitch. Because after that, I really lost interest.
Yeah, this movie runs out of steam pretty quick.
Almost immediately.
So that's about the only one that I even paid attention to the bulk of the fight. It loses gas quick.
It really does. It premise running.
I think I texted you guys through the intro. I was like, this movie is either going to be amazing or horrendous. And for the first 10 minutes, I was like, I am kind of into what they're doing here. And then the wrestling actually starts.
Yeah, I was kind of with it.
Oh, never mind.
I think if they, and maybe this is a function of the makeup or whatever, because a lot of these people are actual wrestlers. If it was some high octane, John Wick style, super action, I think I'm with this movie a lot. But
if they got Lucha Underground's director to make this movie.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a billion cuts and they're super jarring. And
I was waiting for it to devolve into not devolve, but turn into here's the premise to get all these things in one place, but then it would turn into something else besides the fighting tournament. And they subverted my expectations by just sticking with it the whole time.
Some kind of cabin in the woods type thing.
Yeah, they all get out there cool. And then all hell breaks loose, and then they either need to form an alliance or something else happens, or they're under attack by the government. But no,
they form the Dark Universe.
Nope. Yeah, it's
Shout out to the Dark Universe.
Oh, and Herb Dean gets fucking literally axed in the first fight. Like he is refereeing a fight to the death, and his only concern is, I know they're going to kill each other, but we can't have any low blows. We can't have any shots to the groin.
I thought that was one of the few funny jokes.
I laughed my ass off.
They said that was a dirty kick to the dick, which I appreciated.
And then he gets get opened up by Witch Bitch because she sleeved a cleaver.
Also, I love the fact that, like, you know, presumably since monsters are real in this universe, like, Witch Bitch has some sort of magical powers, but she doesn't use them. And the like little person that manages her is like, you gotta be a fighter. Don't use any of that black magic stuff. And I felt like saying, well, we don't have the budget for that. Like, we have to make you a fighter.
Oh, and that dude got his head knocked clean off.
Also, why was he dirty? Like,
I think he was supposed to be a goblin.
Oh.
He had like pointy ears and like he had like boils and shit. I think he was supposed to be like a goblin.
He was hilarious too, because to Sean's point about how these monsters just have like regular addresses and stuff. Well, first of all, again, as I said briefly, Witch Bitch lives in like
Southie,
the colonies somehow.
I was muted earlier. Maybe she lives on Tangier Island.
I don't know. What is that? Is that like a Williamsburg type thing?
It's like a legit island in the Chesapeake that like people still talk old colonial.
Oh God. Oh really?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So they're it's like a real life The Village.
Well, you know, I read about it on Facebook, so maybe it's fake.
Oh, probably.
But I get all my news off Facebook.
Me too. Good times. But yeah, it's weird. But he's like, I got this tournament coming up.
Like, he's like, I've trained the best. I'm like, who? Godzilla? Like, who have you trained?
Godzilla? Whoever's point, like, what other, were there tournaments prior to this or not? Is this the first one? Like, we're not really sure. Also, like, I don't want to be this guy, but on the tail of the tape between the Wolfman and, who was his first fight?
Wolfman was Boghog or Swamp Gut.
Oh yeah. It has the Wolfman listed as 6'2" and Swamp Gut listed as 6'0", but Swamp Gut is clearly taller.
Oh, he's towering over him.
Yeah, Swamp Gut. That everything about Swamp Gut is hilarious. Like his design is like
fat he is.
God awful, and they're just like, well, that's why they call him Swamp Gut. I guess because they made this suit, but they gave him like a paunchy belly, and it looks really
it's full
weird.
of slime because he gets squished.
Yeah, but I did think it was funny where they're like, okay, we got this monster roster. We got Frankenstein, we got Dracula, kinda, we got the Wolfman, we got a zombie. Fuck. What else do we got?
We got a mummy.
Invisible Man. We can't do that. Mummy. Oh yeah, we got Mummy.
TJ, what was up with the Agent Cooper going to fucking find the lady vampire? Is that a vampire lore thing that I'm unaware of?
I thought he was supposed to be, what's his name? The guy from Bram Stoker's Dracula. Keanu Reeves' character in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Harker. Jonathan Harker.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. Did they name him at all?
I think he was an investigator. Like he was investigating a murder, and he like looks at this woman who is she looks like a legit
he says
monster.
Agent, so he's got to be like
he's
FBI or something, right?
I mean, it could be doing a little wet work or something. Who knows?
I don't know. It was weird. I was definitely very confused by the like vignettes because like they were like, I don't know. It's like they almost wanted to try, and they kind of like they're just like
They had all these little monster ideas, and they're like, let's just show a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and let's not really make any sense with the rest of what we're doing.
Nothing to me was funnier than the fucking, the showdown at the end, or like teases for the next one. But they didn't even cut it right. It's like they just stand there and they're like, it's like too long of a take, and it's just like weird. But they don't like punctuate it with any music, or like they don't do like a transitional cut where it's like, you know what I mean? Next time. Like, it's just, they just kind of cut.
It just
like,
ends it.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck was that?
Like, they ran out of tape. They're like, that's enough. We're done.
Speaking of bad impressions, or not bad impressions, but like, when I said something that I immediately regretted. Sean was asking me about the movie. I watched it before he did. And I was like, well, at least it doesn't look horrible. But I hate those roads. God, it looks like dog shit by the end.
I mean, you know what? Like, it does, but like I gotta give them some props because it does. They like tried to dress the sets and like have sets and like the makeup. While I didn't appreciate most of the design of the Cyclops, I thought was cool. Like, didn't look terrible.
The Frankenstein makeup actually looked pretty good, I thought.
Like, there's stuff here.
Yeah. I like that the Cyclops, they mailed his invitation to Greece.
Yeah.
And it made its way to him.
Yeah. Normally I wouldn't fight a woman, but that witch is a bitch.
And he has the power to see the future.
Oh yeah, also in his vignette, he's like, I've been destined to go there. It's like, but he dies in the, like, he dies like pretty much right away. It's like,
no, he lives.
Well, he got through Witch Bitch, but
then there was no second round for the middleweight.
He's
that's
the
right.
middleweight champion. Yeah.
Oh, that's
no, he's not even the middleweight champion. He's the middleweight creature champion.
Oh, yeah.
He won the AFC South.
That was pretty good. Yeah, I don't know.
He's from a long line of cursed Cyclops blacksmiths.
Like, also, he lived in like time displaced Greece as well, because he's in like a smithing forge in the side of a mountain.
I think Greece is kind of.
Greece is still like that.
I think Greece a little bit like that.
It is now.
Their bank system is not great.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, you need to get that Cyclops fucking hammer banging money.
Sean, did you ever hear the story about Giannis when he first came to America and got his first contract? And he was literally taking his checks and depositing them in banks, putting like $50,000 in each bank.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were insured up to, and he was afraid of a banking crisis like in Greece. So his weekly paychecks would go to like 8 or 9 different banks.
Crazy.
And he had to keep finding more banks till like his agent was like, "What are you doing?"
He could just buy
his
Greece.
life was wild. Like, they used to like sell chiclets and shit like little Mexican kids on the side of the road.
Yeah, and he was nice enough to drag his brothers into the NBA with him.
Oh, yeah.
Is he okay? I saw he might have got hurt.
Yeah, I think he's hurt.
Oh.
Like, the playoffs aren't looking so hot for the good guys, but I don't know, I mean, like, this movie, like, I want to like it, but it also reminds me of, like, a movie, like, my ex-wife would make me watch, and I kind of resented it, like, in absentia, if that makes any sense to anybody.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, it's funny, because I swear, somebody must have talked about this movie, maybe in my analog life, because I have definitely heard of Witch Bitch before. Like,
I feel like we just said it for some reason. I don't think it's. I mean, it's not a hard thing to land on.
Well, I do remember
you're changing one letter.
Well, but I remember this poster being on Netflix streaming. This is like one of those like low budget movies that was available on Netflix streaming, like straight on. Like I definitely remember going past this movie a bunch.
And not regretting it at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Also, like, Jimmy Hart is like incredibly irritating in this movie. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I didn't understand like his inclusion in this film at all.
Well, like,
also, I felt bad for Dave Foley because I thought he was like better than this, but I
think his wife cleaned him out.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is like, they do have like some really cringy fucking jokes, like the Frankenstein's monster, if you want to be a dick about it, which we all get that joke now, but like there's nothing in the movies to suggest Victor Frankenstein because he's created by Igor, so like what does that even have to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't know. Also,
and then
that's like the most tired joke anyway. You know what I mean? Like
Sasquatch goes, I haven't seen an abdomen take a beating like that since King Hippo in '88. Like, and I don't know. Well, they must have been proud of that joke because they cut to him like center camera. But am I to understand that like the Punch-Out universe exists concurrently? Like, is he referring to an actual event?
Oh, I thought he was referring to the NES game, but you very well could be referring to the actual time Little Mac fought Mike Tyson for the title.
Now there's your next Illumination.
That's how's Illumination not capitalized on that?
That would be pretty fun. Don't worry.
Like,
this Mario movie made so much money, they're going to make every goddamn Nintendo movie.
It needs the fucking Rad Racer. Get Emil Hirsch on the line. It needs the Rad Racer treatment and just fucking...
Rad Racer.
Like, let it just, like, or Speed Racer, excuse me.
I mean, Rad Racer was a Nintendo game too. So.
Yeah. But just
you could hit select and go into 3D and not have 3D glasses and go blind.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. Fucking, get Soda Popinski up in this bitch, little bald bull.
Hell yeah.
No, they need to do it make it like the animated DreamWorks or whatever, but make it really gritty, like Greed.
Fuck.
Now that's a good idea.
Like it's an underground fighting death tournament?
Well, yeah, or it's like
a real boxing movie. It's like Undisputed or what's the prison boxing
Warrior? Movie? Play It to the Bone?
Before Dawn.
No, the one with Undisputed. Yeah, it is Undisputed.
Or the SNL thing where they did the parody of a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Made it like dark and gritty. It's a me, Mario.
Did you ever see the SNL one where it was when Joker came out and they did Oscar the Grouch and it was David Harbour? It was really good.
You're being a real grouch.
That was great. All right. Anything else before we get into Five Knuckle Shuffles? I feel like we've run this movie clean.
No, let's get out of here.
This has been picked to the bone.
That's right. Alec.
1.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, 2.
Oh.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
It's not a 0. Maximum Conviction takes my 0 for the year. I don't hate the premise at all. Like, it's an interesting premise, but I guess I didn't expect to see it executed just like it sounds.
So horrible. Yeah.
Like, I expected it to be like a movie, like, fucking the Hulk Hogan movie,
No Holds Barred.
Yeah, like a cinematic movie with monster fights in it, not just 4 monster wrestling matches. Like, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
But also, one of the wrestlers was like fucking Kurgan, and like he sucks.
Yeah, he was not very good. He was
like, you couldn't get anybody better than this, but they did get Kevin Nash in this, but they didn't give him anything to do.
Yeah.
How did they not make Kevin Nash a monster? Well, I mean, it did at the end.
They teased him for the second one.
Yeah,
he'll be Ultra Monster Man.
This movie's Zombie Man.
Yes.
This movie is not great.
No.
Did not live up to the hype that I put on it from the first 3 minutes of it. Gogs.
I'm gonna give it a 1. It's not good, and that's basically what it boils down to. They're trying, I guess, but it's not. You know what? Actually, I gave Over the Top a 2, and I like this more.
See, now you're falling into 3 territory.
Now it's a 3. It still sucks though. I did like it more than Over the Top though. Dave Foley, I feel bad.
On the Blu-ray.
I feel bad for Dave Foley. I don't know, like if you're Diesel, like, and you're part of like a DARPA plan to make a super soldier and you're built like that, how are the DARPA scientists not like, we should just inject this guy? Like, he's a fucking monster of a human being. Like, but anyway, Swamp Gut kind of, he charmed me with his environmental message. It's bad and it's nonsensical.
Oh, we forgot to mention they cut promos before the match too.
They cut. Well, what's weird is you got the double whammy. You got like the should we be seeing this or not? Yeah. Like vignette, and then you got the promo. Like they double dipped a lot, and then Lance Henriksen. This was 20, 30 minutes worth of work for him.
Doing that.
This. Well, I think God's it's finally all these monsters are killing each other. Maybe he's looking for his champion to just destroy the earth and just Old Testament style.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's like God is Yahweh and he's looking for his golem to stomp over the earth and kill everyone.
That could have been better than Swamp Gut if you got Gollum in there.
Yeah.
Not Gollum.
Golem, excuse me.
Right. You know what? Let's get Gollum.
Golemite.
Golemite.
Golemite. Hell yeah.
There's a movie.
You can't shut your mouth. That's where you put the paper and tells them who to kill.
Hey.
Yes.
Look at Gog's coming through on the Jewish lore.
Hey, yo. But hey, it's a 3, Sean.
It's a 5, because because it's like nothing.
Incredibly
like
forgettable. Yeah.
Yeah, there's shit, like, I don't know, like, it's weird, right? Because there's something to this that I don't hate, but I don't know how to fix any of it. Because, like, it's like, we talked about, like, you expect it to have, like, shit that's a real movie in it, but if they put all that shit in, it'd be like, I don't care about that shit. I just want to see the monsters fight. But when it's just monsters fighting, like, this isn't really a movie. Like, I don't know what this is. You sold me on, like, see, like, I love a fucking bandage mummy. They're the best. And, like, I got to see one, and that's fun. But, like, I don't know, like, what the ramifications are, like, what of this tournament and, like, the championship, and, like, the fight scenes are really shitty. So, like, that doesn't help. I don't know. I don't know what this movie has. A lot of problems, but I don't know that any of them are fixable in the format. But if you change the format, I'm less interested.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So, TJ.
So I think this just goes to show you that not every interesting idea is a good idea. It's a 2 for me, dog. But I'm with you on, like, I kind of think if you really stuck to it and you did it right, like if you made a fucking movie and you made it exactly like a WWE pay-per-view and they actually put effort into the choreography and stuff, I don't know if it works, but it's something, right?
It's an idea.
But, like, this doesn't work because I think you said it, Sean, earlier, like, the wrestling is just so bad. Like, if it was shot like again, Lucha Underground was a very, like, cinematic wrestling experience. Like, if it was something like that. But even then, like, I don't even know if that works because I think you still need to do, like, you'd have to do, because, like, watching straight, like, I don't know, even like quick wrestling matches are 10 minutes long. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot to ask. Like you know what I mean? You'd have to add some kind of drama, some kind of way. Like, I don't know. It's an idea. I just don't think it works. This also falls into a category of movies that we haven't covered on the show, but it is intentionally bad. And that makes it even worse in my opinion. Like, I don't care for movies that are like, crazy self-aware of how awful they are, and they're like, isn't this bad? Like, it's the snakes on a plane thing. Like, like, if you make a bad movie, like, make a bad movie like New York Ninja, where, like, you, like, really wanted to make something awesome, and it's terrible, but it's still awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the way that, like, Tommy Wiseau says that, like, the Room is a comedy now, but of course it wasn't. Like, you watched it, he didn't expect that to be a comedy. But yeah, this is just really bad. And I think Alex said it, but man, is this movie hard to pay attention to because it's the same tone through the whole movie. And once you see that first fight, you're like, uh-oh, like, this is it, huh?
Well, there's no plot.
Well, there's no plot, but there's also, like, nothing to sink your teeth into. Like, there's nothing, like, it's not funny. It's not like the action is very boring. Like, there's nothing to hold your interest. You know what I mean? Like, at all. Like you said earlier, Gogs, like, you thought maybe it would lead to something bigger. Like, maybe there would be, like, a fun, like, I mean, they do this in wrestling too. Like, maybe there could be a plot of something happening backstage, so to speak, or behind the barn.
Well, like they tease it, right? Because the one guy's like, you shouldn't be fighting in this necropolis. It's bad juju. You shouldn't be here. And then there is a zombie uprising, but then they just shuffle stage left.
Yeah, I mean, this movie, like, it had ideas, but, like, they weren't particularly executed well. And I don't even know if, like, a skilled filmmaker with a bigger budget could make this into something.
Denis Villeneuve, get on this.
I mean,
James Gunn.
He would at least, maybe. I don't know. It's pointless to think about because it's not going to happen, but I don't know. I do agree with Sean. It's better than the last Mortal Kombat movie. But yeah, it's not very good. It's pretty terrible. So yeah. But I will say, it gets credit for having the most actual wrestling in a wrestling movie that we've watched on WWE Easter. I mean, it's pretty much all wrestling.
That is true.
So that's something. But yeah, that's Monster Brawl. What's next month's theme?
Oh wait, I didn't get to pick one for this month. Did I get one of this?
No, we still got another week, baby.
Oh, it is? Oh, fuck. I thought it was over. Damn.
No, we're not out of this yet.
What's your pick, Gogs? I'm
Roddy
sorry.
Piper.
Is it Sci-Fighter?
No, it's Roddy Piper's Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies.
Oh, no.
Also on Tubi, starring Kurt Angle.
It's called Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies?
Yeah, and Matt Hardy.
Oh, no.
How long is it?
Please say 20 minutes.
I think it's like
2.5 hours.
It's 4 hours long.
It's Roddy Piper's piece de resistance.
It's the redux of Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. Let's see what it comes in at.
They couldn't even give it a title. Like
They did. They gave it a title. It is 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's on Tubi, and it's on regular ass Prime, so you don't have to watch it with commercials.
Okay,
it's considered a suspense comedy horror action.
Ooh, that's a lot of qualifiers.
It's a lot of things.
It is a lot of those things, and it stars Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Kurt Angle, Roddy Piper. Who's Shane Douglas? I don't know who that is.
Franchise.
Yeah, the franchise. Shane Douglas.
Okay.
ECW champion.
Matt Hardy, Rebby Sky. I don't know who that is.
That's his wife.
Super hot.
Yes.
Cody Michaels, Matthew Rush, Larry Zbyszko.
Larry Zbyszko, the
Jesus.
legend Larry Zbyszko is in this? Jeez.
This movie's got a lot of people in it.
Fucking Larry Zbyszko. I did not.
He was the old. I know that was Mike today.
He was one of the color guys on WCW.
Was he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He like switched out with like I want to say like Heenan or somebody, but he was on Nitro.
Yeah, Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. The tagline is famous wrestlers are pitted against hordes of undead when they unknowingly walk into a death trap.
Yep. Yup.
I can't wait.
All right. Zombies versus pro wrestlers. Get your scores ready now. If this gets anything higher than a 3, I'll be shocked. And 5s don't count. 5s are actually lower than 3s.
This is brought to you by Cody Knotts, who produced Gore Orphanage.
Orphanage?
Oh no!
Gore Orphanage?
Gore Orphanage. I guess it's gore that's waiting to be adopted. I don't know.
All right.
Can we get that bucket of viscera, please?
Yeah. But not if you're a gay couple.
I don't know.
You can't have the bucket of viscera.
I got some horror video on TikTok, and they were talking about some weird underground, like 4 people have seen their movie's production company, and they're like, their revolutionary film, 6-pack this bitch. I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what the 6-pack this bitch? What? Anyway. All right, everybody. That's the show. Sorry I prematurely was trying to escape from WWE Easter. I thought this month was over.
It's just going to get worse.
You think? Did you
We
hear
might never leave WWE Easter.
Yeah, this is our Hotel California.
This is now WWE Orthodox Easter.
All right,
Shout
everybody.
out to the Russian Orthodoxy.
Hell yeah. And shout out to I don't know, everybody. Go tell your mother you love her. I don't know. Do something. It's great.
So,
You
like-
probably don't do it enough.
Okay, so fucking
Good point.
All right.
the
Bye,
fucking
everybody.
fight's happening because some dude came up with this idea in college and he just fucking sent shit around to monsters everywhere. So you end up with a fucking Cyclops who's like fucking 3,000-year-old like Grecian, like some sort of like demigod fighting some bitch from Southie who's a witch who, dark turn, she's like fucking managed by Hornswoggle, and then they're like, yo, she's been raped? It's like, what the fuck? So anyway, Cyclops beats her with his like his fucking his super move, like he got his meter all the way filled up, and then That's to no avail because no one gets, because he just won like the regional semis. So I guess he's going to the AFC Conference Championship, I guess. And then the same thing happens on the undead side because like Lady Vampire, because no one, I guess they couldn't get the rights to Dracula after she killed like a fucking investigator in some sort of weird, like are we privy to this? Like the whole thing's put on like a production, but like the side vignettes are like weird little fucking like movies for some silly reason, and then she beats the shit out of a mummy and like tears out his black heart. So then, but that's to no avail because they're not advancing past, you know, they're not going into the finals. So then you got Werewolf versus like Bog Hog, and like he wins, and the Bog Hog like has like a fucking environmental message, and he's like one of like the last 10 of his kind, so he's like an endangered species. But now there's like 9 left, and then fucking Frankenstein fights like a military zombie, just zombie man. But and his like wrangler is Diesel, and then like after that fight, like that like starts a minor zombie incursion in this like this space displaced necropolis that doesn't exist like in reality. It's like the fucking like the city from what's the fucking movie with the silly faced creatures that Clive Barker made? Like it's like that, but it's like a hidden cemetery town, and Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, is there, and he's getting driven around on like a coach pulled by the Undertaker, not the Undertaker, but like the local Undertaker and Gravekeeper. And then anyway, so then fucking Frankenstein, who has murdered children in their bed, goes head to head against fucking Werewolf Man, who is just trying to fight. He's just trying to avenge the death of his like lost lover, who was pregnant with his child that was killed by a monster. So he's got a vengeance against all monsters. So it goes back and forth, and then he gets his fucking head ripped off backwards by Frankenstein, and then fucking Frankenstein is like fucking going for a victory lap or some shit, and all of a sudden Diesel is there, and he's like now a zombie. He's like a super, like ultra, like commando general zombie, and then they pose and like it's like the character select screen from Mortal Kombat, and fucking kids in the hall is like, hell yeah, I'll see you next time, and that's it. That's Monster Brawl.